Hello and welcome to another episode of the Live Capoeira, and welcome to our guest Graduado Gangster, or Rob, as he's usually known. Thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. Nice to see you again, Kung Fu. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
good.
lovely to be on here.
So, how did your capoeira journey begin?
Well, it began actually when I was working as a postman. And at the time, this is 20 years ago, actually. And basically, back then, we used to start at 4 o'clock in the morning and finish around 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. There was a lot of guys that were there that were bouncers at the time. They were working nights and then they were coming on as a postman and getting their wage. And there was a guy there called Sam. Still see him about now sometimes, and he was really into his martial arts, as was I. So we started talking, and I remember at the time he was practicing Jeet Kune Do. I think I was doing a bit of kickboxing at the time. And he said to me, "Oh, Rob, I work with this guy who does capoeira." And I said, "Oh, what's that?" And he explained, I said, "Oh, I know that. When I was about 14, I went to Ibiza with a friend and his family, and we saw these people doing capoeira on the beach, and it looked amazing." So anyway, he told me when it was, what night it was on. And so I went along, I dragged one of my friends along and loved it. And really, yeah, it was really cool. So the next day at work, he said to me, "Oh, did you go? Did you go?" And I said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." I said, "It was great." I said, "What days do you go?" And he goes, "Well, I've never been before." And I was like, "Oh, okay then." I, I assumed you did it as well. And he was like, "No, no, no. I just look really cool." So that's how my journey began, really. And then yeah, kind of just sort of fell in love with it, I could say, and carried on ever since.
What were the things that got you falling in love with it at the beginning that you liked especially?
I think um, I think one of the reasons probably because of how different it was from Western martial arts and stuff like that, and a lot of um, self-defense martial arts and stuff. But also it was the community within it. The people that were there were just so friendly and welcoming. It just took a load off, I guess. It was a nice environment to walk into, where some martial arts gyms I've been before can be a bit rowdy and people are sort of sizing you up. And because it's not really that type of martial art, yeah, it was just very welcoming. It was just a nice environment and it was different. And I think as I got to know it, and I think this is one of the things with capoeira, you have to sort of give it some time to get to know it. And then when you start seeing the hodders when we're playing, and then you start feeling the energy, and wow, this is amazing. Obviously you're not jumping into the hodder necessarily. Depends what your confidence is like straight away. But it took me a while to get into the hodder. But yeah, it just sort of captures you. But I think that's why you've got to give capoeira a bit of time to understand it. I think more than anything, I think that's probably the hardest thing is to understand capoeira. But yeah, so that sort of captured me then, really. Yeah.
Brilliant. There was a hint of resignation when I double checked your apelido at the start. What's the story of getting the nickname Gangster?
Oh, so basically, about the first year of training, or when I was like 19, 20, my first car was an Escort Mark IV, a white Escort Mark IV. And this is 20 years ago. And back then, the police loved to pull you over because Escorts were one of the main cars that were being stolen all the time because they were easy to steal. So I was constantly getting pulled over by the police, getting searched, the car, myself, and stuff like that, sometimes up to 4 or 5 times in a week. It was ridiculous. And my friend had a black Escort and I had a white one, and we were both getting such left, right, and centre. Um, and my teacher at the time, Professor Abia, I used to give her lifts to Capoeira sometimes, pick her up, and she opened up my glove box one day to put something in there, and all these police reports started falling out of the glove box. And at the time, her English wasn't as good as it is now. And she was like, "Oh my God, gangster. Oh my God, Rob, what is this?" And I said, "Oh, the police beer. They pull me over. They search me." "Oh my God, you're a gangster. You're a gangster." That's kind of where it originated from. So it was quite comical at the time. And then it kind of stuck. And now I'm introduced to people as gangster. Yeah. So, but it's more of a comical sort of side to it than anything else, anything sinister.
which is good.
Yes, yeah, that's right. That's right.
You with Group G2, which was set up by Professor Rabir. Would you like to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we were originally Origins to Brazil with Mestre Delmo from Sao Paulo, and about four 4 years ago, possibly five, we decided to sort of drift away from it a little bit. We're still in contact with Adelmo because Bia was very, grew up with him, and decided to start our own group with the hierarchy, the leader of the group being Professor Bia, and named the group as U2. So we've always been a group in Bournemouth. We also had classes in Southampton and Portsmouth with Graduado Gângster, but she's now moved back to Italy. So we're currently just based in Bournemouth, and we have got a group in Croatia as well, Rovnik, with Lele. But yeah, at the moment, myself based in Bournemouth. It's a small group, but it's a very nice group. Based in Bournemouth. There's actually been quite busy this year. It's been a really good year for it because I think after we had COVID and I was taking online classes, which was really nice. We had a good community online. We had people joining us from France and Spain and Brazil and Croatia and stuff like that, and some of our friends from events and students that we know. And yeah, and just carried on in Bournemouth with myself taking the classes. So I sort of took over from Bia as she went back to Brazil. She had some family stuff that she had to get back to, and I always sort of every time when she went on holiday back to Brazil, be it for a week or 2 weeks, I would sometimes cover the classes or help her take the warm up and help her teach some of the children's classes. And then when she left to go back to Brazil, which is sort of several years ago now, I took over the classes and been teaching ever since. And yeah, I do love it. I do love it. So yes, it's a nice tight group of people based in Bournemouth. We've got quite a few new people this year actually as well, and it's a nice, lovely bunch of people. Yeah, it's a very very nice group based in Bournemouth.
I believe you've got, not for the group's had a number of events, but you're organising the first Batizado yourself. How are you finding that?
Yeah, so to be honest, I've left it a little bit late. I was a bit mm, skeptical of organising an event this year, of whether to do one or not, because Dory's gone back to Italy and she had the classes in Southampton and Portsmouth. I was a little bit like, oh, should I do it? But then we've decided to go for it. It's September the 30th and the 1st of October in Bournemouth. We've got Bia coming over from who now lives in Professora Bia now lives in Canada, and it's her former tourer as well. So the following week after our Batizado in England, she's flying to Croatia to see Lele and do a Batizado in Croatia. And Bia will actually have a former tour and become Contramestra Bia. So that's really cool. But yeah, this is my first event to organise. I can't say I'm doing it alone. I've got my girlfriend Ellie. She's helping out a lot, and I am getting some help from Dory via WhatsApp in Italy. We were on video chat earlier actually, so she's been a massive help. But it is difficult. There's a lot to think about. There's a lot going on. We've got your food, accommodation, venues, belts, t-shirts, designers. But all I would say really is to make a list, everything that you've got to do. If you can get help, I think don't be afraid to ask for it, because I think, if you've got a couple of people helping you, not only does it relieve a few things that you may have to organise, but it's a bit of relief as well just to have that support. I've got Bea as well on WhatsApp. She's helping as well, just asking her questions and stuff like that. But I would just say, to try and book things as far in advance as you can, especially when it comes to venues. Like at the moment, for example, the schools are on half term on summer holidays. So it's quite hard to get in contact with any of the schools to see if they've got their halls for hire, which, and they generally have the larger size halls. But luckily, we have found a couple of venues, and one of those has been through help through one of the guys in class. That would have been Ed. He's been helping as well. So I definitely would say if you can work as a unit, if there's anyone in the group that can help out, whether it be someone that can design the t-shirt, which I've got as well. I've got Nat. She's going to help design the logo. She's going to design the logo. So she's helping out with that. I've got Ed helping out with the venue, Ellie helping out with She's going to take over the food and help do the corders to make the belts. Dory on the end of the line, giving me pointers on everything and helping me sort of generally get the finesse sort of details down. So I definitely say, like I say, if you can get the help, just people to help out, whatever they can do, great. And luckily, we've got very close friends in the capoeira world. Mestre Jota Jota, who's in France, so he'll be coming over, and we've got Mestre Pantanal and his wife, Instructora Tigresa, in London, so they're close by, so they're coming down. And as soon as I messaged them and got the reply that I got given, it was just such a relief because their reply was so humble. They were so willing to not only attend but to just come down and help, and they were very nice, very nice replies, knowing as well that it was my first one to organise. So yeah, lots going on. I've got it all written in a diary, just to try and keep track of it as well. But it's coming along, so hope fingers crossed it will go well, and I'm sure it will. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a nice event. Like I say, we've got some nice teachers coming over. We have some workshops which will be mixed up with music, makulele, movements. Yeah, and it'll be a nice event. Be a nice event. So if everyone's welcome as well. So anyone wants to come down, they can get in contact with me via Facebook, Instagram, anything like that. Absolutely great. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it though. It's going to be a nice event. Yeah, and hopefully it will go well.
Yes, so good luck. We'll be linking to the Facebook event page in the description to this episode. So do check that out if you're able to attend. Obviously, the more the merrier at those kind of events. What would be the number one piece of advice you'd give for any other capoeiristas out there who are contemplating organizing their first sort of big Batizado event?
Oh, number one, I would probably say to just do everything in advance. Anything in advance that you can do it. Whether it be get that venue sorted, hired, booked up, and also give your guests plenty of notice because a lot of these mestres, they do have a tight schedule. They do have their diary booked up with a lot of events. So again, yeah, I would say get your venue booked and get in contact with any of your guests that you would like to come in far as advanced as you can, basically. That would be probably my number one advice.
Yeah, I think I agree myself. It must be 6 years since we actually had the event in Cheltenham, but I think sort of forward planning is definitely key. And either you need to secure your sort of main guest, your maestro or maestro, whoever's sort of coming as your main attraction, and then find a venue to fit that, or alternatively, find your venues, have that sorted, and then see who can come. Well, good luck with that. Would you like to also just get a good chance to give a plug for your classes in Bournemouth as well, if anybody is listening from the area and would like to come along?
Yeah, if anyone would like to come along, our classes are on a Thursday evening, Piccadilly Ballrooms in Bournemouth at 8 p.m. First class is free, so it gives you a chance to come along, meet everyone, see how you get on, and try it and give it a go. Mm, Very, very nice bunch of people, very welcoming bunch of people. We've got lovely people, and one thing I've always loved about it as well is you do get to meet people from just about everywhere, whether they're from Bournemouth or from different parts of England, or whether they're from just about anywhere in the world. So it's a very nice community. And if you've always, if you've ever wanted to give it a go, then come along down to Bournemouth on a Thursday, 8 p.m., and you'll be very much welcome to the class. All sorts of levels in there, being it from very first beginners to people that have been doing it for 10, 12 years. So everyone's welcome.
Brilliant. You said earlier that you really loved the teaching. What is it that you've loved the most about being able to run your own classes?
Mm, I think you learn a lot from teaching. I think, you when you relay information back that you've learned and give it to others, you kind of take it in more yourself. And it's sometimes when you get into the role of things almost roll off your tongue that you don't generally think about. But it's only because you're teaching that it starts almost sinking in that bit more. But also the motivation, I think is very motivating to teach, so whether I've got a headache or I've had a long day at work or anything like that, I think, well, I don't want to let my guys down. I want to go. And I always come out of the class feeling great. Like I might walk in, like I say, tired, and I've got a banging headache, and I walk out feeling absolutely fine. And I walk out, just with a big smile on my face, and just always sort of think, I'm so glad that I didn't, um, call it off because I didn't feel great. And I'm so glad that I went there and I've done it and I saw everyone. So yeah, I think with teaching, it's motivation. It's motivation, I think, it gives you, but it's also giving back what you've learned, as well, to, showing people capoeira, teaching them the movements, teaching them songs, how to play instruments, explaining to them all really from capoeira. It's just a nice feeling. You're giving it to someone else to experience. So, and it is an experience, capoeira. I think it's very unique. And you just don't come across anything like it. I don't think, whether it's other martial arts. There's the mixture of the martial arts and the dance, etc. But it's never going to be capoeira or the same as capoeira, because capoeira is a mixture of so many different things. So I think it's nice to give that back and show people what what you can do, and let them learn from it, and then watch them progress as well. When you see people that have, we've got people in our class that come along and they might be late 40s, really struggle with the flexibility, and to see them like 6 months, a year later, throwing these spinning kicks and stuff like that is just great. It's so nice to see. And of course they don't really see it, because they don't see their progression so much as you do, as that spectator, when you're watching them do it. So it's really nice to see that as well, I think.
I
um,
think that's a really good comment there. So frequently, and it's not just for capoeira, but you often get on things like Reddit and things, people say, oh, I'm however many years old, you know, should I start doing so and so? And I always think the answer is like yes. And good evidence there. 40-year-olds not flexible, not able to do things, but then a year down the line. And I've certainly found with my students when I ran my group it's also worth taking that moment to get them to reflect actually on their progress. And so actually you're doing really well. Remember, couldn't lift your feet off the floor when you were trying your hours at the beginning, and now look at you, and it's the progress is often so gradual that it's hard to see, and it's only when you stop and pause and think, actually, 3 months ago I couldn't do this. So that's really good to hear. So the final question to ask, regular listeners will know, is what is capoeira? You've already touched on a lot of that already, but let's bring it together.
yeah, so what is capoeira? I think, besides stating the obvious of telling people what it is in regards to it's a dance, it's a fight, it's a game, which you can read in a book, I think capoeira is, whatever you want it to be, in the respect that some people may come to a class and just love the culture, love that it's different, love the singing, the ashe, the energy that it creates, standing in a circle and singing. For that, for some people that is what capoeira is. For some people, it's learning the acrobatical movements, the spinning kicks. For some people, it's the social side of it, meeting lots of like new faces, making new friends, meeting people from different cultural backgrounds. And I think capoeira, to me, is just about all of those things. I think it's about meeting new people, experiencing, um, even experiencing sort of playing someone different in the fodder. It's, you see their personality come out in the way they play. So it's a very difficult question, I think, and there's lots of different philosophies on capoeira, but I think capoeira, yeah, to me is just about those things. Capoeira to me is about meeting people, feeling that energy together as a group of friends, and experiencing that together, and playing a game where you can have a translation, a communication within the game without talking. Almost, you're not talking, you're having this discussion in movements and body language, and that to me is what capoeira is. I think something as well that I'd like to say is that, and this came from Professor Curioso, teaches in Ireland, and something that stuck with me, and this isn't about what capoeira is, but it was just a comment that he said to me, and it always stuck. And I think this can relate to people that may train capoeira for the first time, or train for maybe a little while. Is that you look at capoeiristas, people that what play capoeira, and you say, oh, I wish could do that. I wish I was like them. And something he said to me was that you will never be as good as them because only they can be as good as them. But they will never be as good as you because only you can be as good as you. And I think it was a really nice saying because it's basically saying that, you can only be as good as yourself. No one can be as good as you because they're not you, and vice versa. And it just always stuck with me. And it kind of made me feel a bit, I think it almost makes you feel better with yourself then, rather than looking at other people. Oh, I wish I could do a somersault. I wish I could do this and I wish I could do that because their capoeira will never be as good as yours because only yours can be as good as yours. I hope that makes sense. I probably didn't say it as well as he did, but it stuck
Uh,
with me and I wanted to say it.
it reminds me of the Mayor Angelou quote a bit as well. Might be paraphrasing it, but it's something like, "Do the best you can, and when you know better, do better." Uh, which I think is sort of tangential but related, and obviously a lot of some of these sports special acts sort of capoeira sometimes actually the competitions with yourself to be a better version, a better capoeirista than you were in previous days. And
Yeah, I agree.
you get the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, all that. That you have your ups and downs and so on with your training, but it's one of those arts where actually that improvement. It's best not to compare yourself with others, but compare yourself with yourself from yesterday.
Exactly, exactly. And I think one of the nice things is with capoeira, and you see, is that some people pick up the language better than others. Some people pick up the music better than others. Some people pick up the movements better than others. So it's nice because capoeira is made of so many different things. There's so much to learn. It's endless, it's but there's always something that you could maybe concentrate more on, and improve more so in one particular thing, if that's what you want to do. Like I said, you might be very musical and pick up a berimbau and be able to learn that quicker than others, and others might learn the movements quicker, but it's all relative, so it's all good to learn, and it just gives something. There's always something different for everyone, that someone different might pick up and enjoy more so than the other, and so on. So there's a lot to it. There's a lot to learn. That's why the only thing I would say is, like I said before, is that give capoeira a chance, give it time to experience it. Um, go to a good few classes to really experience it, because it's not until you understand it that you really sort of can feel it, and you feel the rush.
Brilliant. So, as we come to the end of the episode, are there any other final thoughts or comments that you'd like to say?
I think that's probably about it, to be honest. Just like I said, if anyone wants to see capoeira in Bournemouth, come along to the event. You can join us. You can join in. You can come and watch anything that you're comfortable to do. 30th of September and 1st of October this year. Yeah, just get in contact and come and say hello. And it's been great seeing you, Kung Fu, as well. So thank you very much.
My
Thank you very
pleasure.
much. It's been lovely.
And thank you also to the listeners for listening. If any of you'd like to get in touch, you can email thelifecapoeira@gmail.com or on Facebook and Instagram. And feel free to nominate yourselves or any of your teachers that you know to come on and to get on capoeiristas from all levels and backgrounds and from anywhere in the world. So everybody is welcome, and do get in touch. But that's it from me for another episode, and until next time, ciao.